Once you have an account on wordpress.com, you can start setting up websites and blogs. You can set up several sites, all of which can be accessed through one account. These websites are highly customizable, and apart from the web address or URL, you can change all the information on the site later, so you don't have to fret over getting everything perfect right out of the gate. To create a new website, go to wordpress.com and log in. Now, if you don't remember your username or password, WordPress actually has an option for you. You simply click this Lost Your Password button, and it takes you to a page where you can enter either your email address or your username, and that'll be sent right to you. So you enter your email address here, click Get New Password, and a new password is generated. But I remember my password, so we'll go back. Here I'll enter my username at the very top, and my password. And I'll check this Remember Me button so I don't have to keep entering this information all the time. And I'll click Login. Now, depending on the browser you're using, you might have to tell the browser to also remember that password. In this case, we're using Firefox, and you can see Firefox is asking if you want it to remember the password. So I'll say Remember. And now we're logged in. So you can see I now have the option of my account, my blog, and my subscriptions. But I don't have a blog yet. I need to set one up. And this is the same process you would use if you already have a blog, but you want to add another one. You go up to the address bar here, and after wordpress.com, you say sign up and hit enter. Now you're taken to the page where you can create a new blog. Here you set a bunch of information about that blog, like the blog domain name, the title, the language, and privacy. The blog domain is the URL that points to your blog. This is a one-time deal. If you misspell something here, that's going to be your URL forever. So it's very important that you get this right. There's also a lot of blogs already created on wordpress.com that may have the name you want. So you might have to really work at finding the right URL for it. It needs to be identifiable, and it also needs to be easy to spell. Hansel and Petal is my username, and as you can see, it's been set as my standard domain name, and it's actually what I want, so I'll leave it the way it is. Next is blog title. The blog title is the name that'll appear on top of my blog, and also on top of my browser window here. So I'll make it into the name I actually want. In this case, it should be Hansel and Petal Flowers. The next one down is language. Language has to do with the primary language you are writing in, not the language you understand, but the language that's going to be contained within your website. So you set it to English if the primary language in your blog is going to be English. You set it to German if you're going to write in German, or French if it's in French. This is actually an identifier for the browser. So if you use something like Google Chrome, there's an auto-translate function that will grab this information and translate it automatically. So if I visit a website that's written in German, Google Translate will actually automatically see that and ask if I want it to be translated into English. The final option, privacy, is a little bit interesting. It gives you the option of whether or not you want to index the information that's on your blog inside WordPress.com or not, or on Google and Bing and all the other search engines. If you click public, all the information that you put into your site will be pushed to all the search engines and anyone can find it. If you click block search engines, only people who visit your site who already know your address will be able to find it. If you click private, you can actually set a list of who is allowed to see your site, and they all have to log in to see it. When you're sure that all that information is correct, you have the correct domain address you want, you have the title you want, and you have the language you want, and you set the privacy right, you click Create Blog. Now remember, the only thing on this page that can never be changed is the blog domain. And that's not entirely true. You could attach a different domain to it later if you want. You just can't get a different something.wordpress.com domain attached to it. If you're happy with everything you see, click the Create Blog button. And when the blog is created, you get this page that tells you hanselandpetal.wordpress.com is yours. And if you click on this, you'll go to your new site on WordPress.com. You see here is that title I set, Hansel and Petal Flowers, and you also see it up here in the browser window. WordPress has even given you a start post, which just says, "Hello world, welcome to WordPress.com." You can now start working with your site. You have now created a new website under WordPress.com. If you want to, you can go back and repeat the process to create another website. just remember to go to wordpress.com/signup. Unfortunately, there's no button for this, so you just have to remember that address. Just remember that you can only use a particular blog domain or URL once, so every new blog will have a different address. If you set your privacy settings to public, the blog will now be indexed on wordpress.com and all the other major search engines, which means once you start blogging, people can read what you have to say. And as with nearly everything else in WordPress, you can change your privacy settings and the title and everything else later on.